Jamaica's fifth Prime Minister and longest-serving parliamentarian dies on his 89th birthday. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, May 28th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Jamaica is in mourning following the death of former Prime Minister Edward Seaga. Seaga died on Tuesday on his 89th birthday in the United States. He drew his last breath at a Miami hospital where he had been receiving treatment for cancer and related complications since earlier this month. In a message posted on social media after Seaga's passing, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said he considered the former Jamaica Labour Party leader his political father. He said, quote, "He has been a great mentor, friend and guide in imparting the skills on strategic leadership and in building a nation. I owe him, and indeed Jamaica owes him, a debt of gratitude. He will forever remain in our hearts and minds." End quote. Holness said necessary arrangements were being made for the body to be flown back to Jamaica. Seaga, the last surviving framer of the Jamaican Constitution, led the country from 1980 to 1989 and the JLP1 from 1974 to 2005 when he retired from active politics. That same year, he was appointed a distinguished fellow of the University of the West Indies, Mona, whose research institute had earlier been named in his honor. Back in 2008, he was appointed Pro-Chancellor of the University of Technology, Jamaica, and 2 years later, he became the institution's second Chancellor. Staying in Jamaica, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says security forces are prepared to meet gangsters with force. This as law enforcement officials search for the armed bandits responsible for shooting and seriously injuring 2 police officers during a confrontation in Clarendon, a parish in the south of the island on Sunday. Minister Chang says crime in the area has surpassed the capabilities of a Zone of Special Operations, or ZOSO. As we hear in this TVJ News report, he says much more is required to deal with the gangs behind the crime.
For the National Security Minister, the need is clear. The country's security forces must be braver and stronger to deal with this new breed of gunmen.
I think the country needs to appreciate the severity of what the police face up with. They are armed with assault rifles, and it appears that certainly M16 that they are using as one of these what they call bomb stock magazine, which carries 100 rounds. We have to ensure that the police maintains a level of force that can deal with this kind of individual. And it also reflects the complexity of the challenge that the police is involved in. It requires effective intelligence, highly professional investigation, and at the same time, strong, well-trained, brave individuals who can take them on in live fight as happened here this morning in Mayfair.
In light of the attack, more security personnel have been promised to the parish. A plan is also being hatched to catch the shooters. The thugs are said to be part of a gang which is linked with a series of high-profile robberies in recent times. The police have been on their trail, but the gangsters remain elusive.
The commissioner will assign to the area appropriate numbers to begin the chase of these individuals and ensure that we apprehend them and get them out of the community as quickly as possible. It may need some change in the operational activity as well. That, of course, is a matter that the commissioner and his team will discuss and bring to it.
In the medium to long term, the parish is being eyed for special security measures, specifically a zone of special operations.
And certainly Mayfair has capacity for some ZOZOs, and the government has indicated clearly we'll be moving to ensure we can expand that reach of that operation, because we have to reduce the recruitment into gangs if we are to have sustainable reduction in criminal activity.
The Antigua and Barbuda government says all Canadian banks operating in the Twin Island nation have indicated they want to shut shop. Apart from Scotiabank, which has already signaled its intention to sell its operations in Antigua and several other Caribbean countries, the other Canadian banks operating in St. John's are the Royal Bank of Canada and the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. Now, speaking on his private radio station, Prime Minister Gaston Brown said they all want to cease operations.
The Canadian banks have indicated their desire to leave, all of them. And I would expect that as they leave, that they will give local entities the first right of refusal. Mm-hmm. And again, we make no apologies about that. That policy is not anti-capitalist. It is not anti-investment. It is just about protecting and growing the domestic economy. Our domestic banks are so small that, generally speaking, they are not quite bankable for corresponding banking services.
The Prime Minister added that the departure of foreign banks provides an opportunity for local banks to expand.
Only how that our banks are going to get to the stage where they're large enough is through inorganic growth, through acquisitions. So whereas the Canadian banks have signaled their intention to leave, it is quite an opportunity for the local banks to build capacity and to grow rapidly so that they can become more resilient, not only to acquire corresponding banking for those who do not have, like in the case of CUB, but even to maintain existing corresponding banking relations.
Last November, the Trinidad-based Republic Financial Holdings Limited announced plans to acquire Scotiabank operations in Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, St. Lucia, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Antigua and Barbuda had Guyana expressed reservations about the proposed acquisition, with St. John's indicating that it would not be issuing a vesting order to facilitate the move. Antigua and Barbuda said it wants assurances that local banks will be given priority to purchase Scotiabank's operations on the island and that the investment and savings of locals will be protected. The managing director of a St. Vincent-based airline says Caribbean governments must stop looking at regional carriers as tax cows to be converted to beef when they stop lactating. Paul Gravel of SVG Air says if regional governments do not change their taxation policy, any airline that replaces the financially troubled Liat is also doomed to fail. He said that in the last 10 years, Caribbean governments have been struggling to pay for massive capital projects, and then they see the aviation industry as milk cows. The airline executive said his company is now considering its options amidst the challenges that the region's aviation tax policy has created for the airline. He said SVG Air has appealed to governments to adjust the taxes imposed on the industry, but to no avail. Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley has warned that water is fast becoming a scarce commodity across the region and there is a need for changed behavior regarding its consumption. She was speaking on Monday evening at the opening of the Understanding Risk Caribbean Conference, which brought together regional governments and disaster management officials to discuss priorities and solutions to tackle climate change and disaster risks. Mottley said the drought currently affecting the Caribbean is an issue that needs urgent attention.
And the change in behavior has, in my view, first to be led by the children of this nation and by their parents and by the communities, recognizing that the cost of water will continue to rise if the level of water that is wasted in terms of non-revenue water continues to be on the increase as we have seen in the last few decades.
Prime Minister Mottley added that Barbados and the Caribbean now face the additional task of replacing critical water infrastructure. She said a sinking fund needs to be established to assist in meeting that and other developmental needs.
It is critical that we put aside those funds, but the lumpy nature of the investment is such that we have, in my view, to make serious decisions as a nation, first and foremost, to protect the fund by embedding it in our Constitution. And I say so from the perspective that 30 years ago, a similar capital fund was simply disbanded without reference to the needs of the future. But secondly, we may have within the limited capacity of what you can earn within a small economy such as this to protect and to preserve areas that will guarantee a level of revenue in order to be able to ensure that we can replace the critical infrastructure when needed.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Dominica's electoral officials warn of a fake voters list being circulated. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It was fun, ended prematurely, but it's fine.
It was really good. It was a really good vibe. I got here from about 4-ish.
Dominica's electoral office is warning of a fake voters list being circulated as the island prepares for general elections. It issued a statement on Tuesday saying that it's aware of the online publication of a document purporting to be a list of electors, but it has neither authorized nor issued such. It made it clear that it does not publish, sell, or release digital copies of the Register of Electors. But Chief Electoral Officer Ian Michael Anthony said the electoral office's systems have not been compromised and any elector information released did not come from the voter management system used by the electoral office. Dominica is gearing up for a general election that is constitutionally due by March next year, but widely expected to take place later this year. The Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority will launch mobile number portability in the sub-region next Monday. ECTEL Chairman and Dominica's Information, Science, Telecommunications and Technology Minister Kelva Daru said Tuesday the project will be launched in St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Kitts and Dominica. Mobile number portability enables consumers to keep their existing mobile telephone numbers when switching from one service provider to another. Daru said the project began in 2015 following a decision by the ECTEL Council of Ministers to implement local number portability for both fixed and mobile phones. He said there were several delays, but the hard launch is now set for June 3rd. Antigua and Barbuda, which is yet to sign on to ECTEL, maintains observer status with the sub-regional body. Last December passed legislation amending the Telecommunications Act of 2018, which will, in essence, give residents the option of switching between telecommunications service providers without having to change their mobile numbers. The Eastern Caribbean Collective Organization for Music Rights, ECHO, says all businesses that play copyrighted music risks facing legal action if they refuse to comply with the copyright tariff. Event organizers and DJs in Antigua and Barbuda have been up in arms over the 5% tariff. ECHO is seeking to collect on ticket sales from events, but the organization is justifying its stance, explaining that it merely acts as a bridge between its members and promoters who are required to compensate ECHO members for their creativity. We get more in this ABS News report.
ECHO was established to ensure that writers and producers earn their due in the music industry, whether it's from a playlist at a hotel or at a carnival fete. In the case of a carnival fete, ECHO wants a portion of ticket sales, 5% as a matter of fact. Promoters are protesting, but operations manager of the Eastern Caribbean Collective Organization for Music Rights, Vanessa Motley, says that's the standard.
Before we moved to being ECHO, we had conducted an economic study on what would be fair for the entire region. So the result of that was the 5%. So that's how we arrived at the 5%.
CEO of ECHO, Davis Joseph, notes that this is what other countries have implemented.
The OACS, Barbados has the same tariff, Jamaica as well, and just a slight difference of 0.5 difference in Trinidad. So it's basically the same across the region.
Because we do work together. We all fall under one umbrella organization called ACCESS, the Association of Caribbean Copyright Societies.
ECHO is not going away, but promoters are anguished by the timing of their latest appearance, just before Carnival. And with this, the officials understand.
I do understand it, we do understand it, and that's what we're saying. Instead of speaking through third parties, you do play an important role, but the most important thing is for us to meet with them and decide how we go forward.
And coming up, West Indies win their final official World Cup warm-up match. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Stephanie Paul is one of the first beneficiaries of Work, Women Organized for Real Kindness. The non-profit organization's mission is to exercise tangible acts of kindness. In Stephanie's case, members raised funds to present Miss Paul with a new refrigerator for her home. Founder and the director of Work, Catherine Charles, says that the group's purpose is to support and motivate women.
So the onion and garlic and the curry leaves have been cooking for about 2 minutes now. Now I'm going to throw in my curry and my spices. So now it's time to add your chicken. And when you add your chicken, you got to stir it really well for that curry to coat the outside of the chicken. So you see how nice it looks?
Welcome to this year's 50th Caribbean Broadcast Union Assembly on the island of San Andres. San Andres is a small archipelago located in between Jamaica and Panama in the Western Caribbean Sea. A lush, exotic island rich in culture, history, gastronomy, and breathtaking scenic views. Known for its beaches and 7-colored crystalline waters, the island of San Andres will be proudly hosting this year's event. CBU members will enjoy top-of-the-line accommodations for an unforgettable experience in San Andres, connecting Caribbean nations through this year's 50th edition of the CBU Assembly.
And welcome back. Shea Hope struck another classy 100 while Andre Russell and Evan Lewis lashed half centuries as West Indies flexed their muscle to brush aside New Zealand by 91 runs in the final official warm-up match and find precious momentum ahead of the World Cup opener against Pakistan on Friday. Now sent in at Bristol County Ground on Tuesday, West Indies amassed a mammoth 421 or 49.2 overs, with Hope stroking a better-than runner ball 101 Russell blasting a 25-ball 54 and Lewis gathering exactly 50 or 54 balls at the top of the order. There were several cameos along the way as Captain Jason Holer smashed 47 from 32, veteran Chris Gale carved out 36 from 22, while rookie Shimron Hetmeyer gathered 27 from 24 balls. In reply, New Zealand perished for 330 in the 48th over but got a magnificent counter-attacking 106 of 89 balls from wicket keeper Tom Blundell. Captain Kane Williamson struck 85 from 64 deliveries, but the target was always well beyond the Black Caps, especially after they found themselves stumbling at 33 for 3 in the 10th over. Carlos Braffett that is, proved expensive but was the best bowler with 3 for 75 from his 9 overs, while left-arm spinner Fabian Allen supported with 2 for 47. Meanwhile, fast bowler Sheldon Cottrell says there is a definite buzz in the West Indies camp as the side gears up for the World Cup. Speaking ahead of the warm-up match on Tuesday, he said the team was pleased to see, or he rather was pleased to see the team gelling together ahead of Friday's opener.
My preparation personally, I've been going well. It's a gradual build-up for me up to the World Cup. I mean, I'm looking forward to the first game. I'm having sleepless nights already, but that's just anxiety on my side. But I'm ready. The team preparation. Wow, the chemistry in the team is something that I've never seen before. I mean, the fellas are bouncing around. Everyone is happy. I mean, everyone talking to everyone. I mean, it's really good.
The Jamaican says he is hopeful of improving his form ahead of the World Cup.
About 90% happy to tell you. I'm very much hard on myself when it come on to my bowling. I mean, there is always room for improvement. So, and I mark myself hard. So I'm about 90%. I'm hoping that I can get to 100.
Over to the women's game now, where veteran all-rounder Stacey Ann King marked her first appearance for West Indies women in nearly 3 years with a strong all-round performance as the Caribbean side strolled past Ireland by 45 runs in the second T20 International on Tuesday to set the stage for a clean sweep of the 3-match series. Opting to bat first at Sydney Parade, West Indies women rallied to 157 for 6 of the 20 overs, with the 35-year-old King top scoring with 34 from 33 deliveries, and opener Hayley Matthews getting 33 of 32 balls. Matthews gave West Indies a breezy start, striking 2 fours and 2 sixes. She put on 32 for 22 for the first wicket, with Brittany Cooper, whose 20 came from 11 balls and included 3 fours. Now, Captain Kim Garth led the Irish attack, taking 3 for 22 with her right arm seam before returning with the bat to top score with an unbeaten 51 of 48 balls, as the hosts were restricted to 112 for 6 of their 20 overs. Ireland reached 60 for 2 at the start of the 12th over, but then lost 4 wickets for 7 runs. Now, Tuesday's win gave West Indies women a 2-0 lead in the series following their 64-run victory in Sunday's opener, and they will bid for a whitewash in the final match on Wednesday. Cricket West Indies Vice President Dr. Kishore Shallow has been elected the new president of the Windward Islands Cricket Board of Control, the WICBC. He defeated former President Emmanuel Nansen at the body's internal elections in St. Lucia over the weekend. Shallow ran a successful campaign to unseat Nansen at the Cricket West Indies elections in Jamaica earlier this year. The Vincentian is also president of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Cricket Association. Julian Charles of St. Lucia will remain the WICBC's vice president, while Vincentian Kesron Walters is the new secretary. In another sporting body election, this time in table tennis, defeated presidential candidate Karen St. Clair Lynn is taking the re-elected executive of the table tennis Jamaica to court over a plethora of issues surrounding the body's internal elections back in January. The court matter is set for July 23rd. TVJ's Ronaldo Brown reports that Lynn is challenging the legitimacy of the current executive.
TVJ Sports on Monday received a document sent by then-challenger Karen Sinclair Lim detailing the grounds on which her team is challenging the re-election of Godfrey Lothian as president of Table Tennis Jamaica. The document listed 5 areas of concerns regarding the election and special meeting where amendments were made to the Constitution. The first 2 orders are to prove that the special meeting held by Table Tennis Jamaica on January 28 of this year and the annual general meeting on February 9 be declared null and void and or invalid. To that end, the claimant is also asserting that the election of officers to Table Tennis Jamaica at the annual general meeting should also be declared invalid. The 5th point states, quote, a declaration that the second defendant, in this case, Godfrey Lothian, is not an entity properly constituted in accordance with and as required by the laws of Jamaica, end quote. The grounds on which the claimant is seeking relief calls into question the AGM, which was held on February 9, claiming it was in breach of the Constitution of TTJ, in that it failed to comply with Article 3, Clause 10 of the said Constitution, and in particular, the mandatory requirement for the presentation of audited financial statements. There are also claims that TTJ at the time was neither registered with the Jamaica Olympic Association, the International Table Tennis Federation, nor the Companies of Jamaica, and that neither TTJ or Lothian are legally entitled to collect monies on behalf of the sport of table tennis in Jamaica. When TVJ Sports contacted Sinclair Lim on Monday afternoon, she confirmed the issuing of the document, but noted she was not allowed to speak further on the issue.
And that's the Sports Day with us. We'll be right back.
I was late for today's shoot, and I have to be honest, it's because my good friends at Mazda dropped off one of these amazing new MX-5s. And wow, what a machine. It totally connects with my DNA. Sports car, top down, I mean, what a machine. I'll tell you, go drive one. It might make you late for a lot of things, too. So we're here back in Denver. We're here at my good friend Mike Boston's place, Elevation Motors, here in Lakewood. And I have to tell you, Mike and Andreas are great friends.
The world's debt is 184 trillion US dollars. That's about 86,000 US dollars per person. Join Linda Tessar, the Central Bank of Barbados 2019 Distinguished Visiting Fellow for the 6th edition of the Caribbean Economic Forum, as she helps us understand just how in a world of rising debt, we in the Caribbean can stay afloat. Follow this important live broadcast of the 6th Caribbean Economic Forum on social media and on radio and television in Barbados and across the region. Thursday, May 23rd at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. in Jamaica. Visit www.centralbank.org.bb for more information.
The IMSA Sports Car Championships, shortest sprint of the year, just 100 minutes. Acura Team Penske's 7 car, wheeled by Elio Castroneves, earning the pole Friday. The 6 car with Juan Pablo Montoya lining up 3rd. Castroneves grabbing the early lead, holding the upper hand over the first many laps, before a bobble on the tight concrete canyons of Long Beach shuffled the running order.
But hey, we still have a lot of race to go, and my man Ricky is going to make things happen here.
Again, the major developments of this day. Jamaica is in mourning as its 5th Prime Minister and longest-serving parliamentarian, Edward Seaga, succumbs to his illness on his 89th birthday. And in sport, West Indies win their final World Cup warm-up against New Zealand, beating them by 91 runs. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, subscribe to CaribVision.com. For more for our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but follow all of us at CMC News. Thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.